Hello, welcome to the WAQ Show. I'm your host, TJ.
Matt.
I'm Dan, and our guest is...
John, Dan's brother.
Hey,
Woo!
we got it this time. Boom.
Yeah.
Fifth time's the charm.
And we're doing part 2 of our top 10 video games. In our last episode, Dan and Matt gave us the top 10 of their favorite video games. In this episode, me and John are going to do our top 10s. These are extended episodes because we're kind of going a little bit into our games. We'll do some honorable mentions at the end of this episode. A little more. Matt already gave us some in the last episode within his list, which is cool. I did take while Matt was doing his list. I adjusted. I remembered a game that needs to be in my top 10 because it just is, and I took out Final Fantasy VII, which was going to be my Final Fantasy game. So now it's just not in my top 10, which makes me feel sad. Along with a lot of the games I started remembering that I love. But
That's
anyways, yeah. Any thoughts before I jump into my list?
Games are fucking awesome. Play them.
Yeah, games are good. We'll probably have honorable mentions at the end of this, unless it's like really long again. In which case, I don't know. Well, we'll see.
I mean, I guess, do we have any bets for TJ's list?
He's already said that it only had one FPS game.
Yeah.
Should we all?
So I'm
we all
like
try to call it?
shattered. If it's not Call of Duty or Halo,
I was
I'll be
gonna
really
say
surprised.
it's either Call of Duty or Halo.
Oh,
But which one?
okay.
It is one of those two.
I'm gonna say Halo 1 because I almost put that on my list.
Yeah.
Well, so I don't think John was here when I said some of them are series.
Oh,
So it's a series.
A series.
I think Halo's is a better series than Call of Duty, but I don't play either of them. I've only touched both.
Knowing TJ, I'm gonna bet on Call of Duty. Because I know he loves Halo, but Call of Duty is like, he still plays it to this day, and he's tried to get us to play it so much. I have to imagine that's it.
That's fair.
Well, we'll get into it. That'll be in my second half of my list, so you won't see it right away, which is good. All right. So, let me post. There's that. So, my number 10 game is League of Legends. And I struggled a little bit putting it on my list. But, I mean, I've been playing it. When did it come out? 10 years ago? A decade ago? And I haven't stopped playing it. And I wouldn't have met Dan without playing it. Or a lot of the friends that I have now.
No.
And I'm a big competitive player. And to me, it's the number one competitive game for a multitude of reasons outside of just the game itself as well. Why I think it's the best competitive game. And I just have a lot of fun playing it. For those who don't know what League of Legends is, it's a what do they call it? MOBA?
Yep. Multiplayer.
We've talked about it before.
Multiplayer online battle arena.
Yeah. And I know at one point we're going to do an episode just about League of Legends and Riot, so that'll be fun. So I'll dive more into the game when we do that. But basically, highly competitive. There's a major competitive scene, and like it feels like a real sport. It's been hosted on ESPN2 and stuff like that. So yeah, my number 9 is Warcraft 3, and I absolutely love. I'm not very good at them. There's a few like Warcraft 3 that I got really good at. RTSs. Absolutely love RTSs. But Warcraft 3, especially and what Dan says is the modding and the games that were built. Like, there's so many games that were created through Warcraft 3, which I guess was the invention of League of Legends through Dota.
StarCraft, the Warcraft 3 mod or something?
No?
No.
Alright, I'll shut up.
Those are their own things, but they are the same style of game. Made by the same company.
Yeah, they each had their own like mod scene and extra games and stuff.
And Warcraft through Warcraft 3 was pre World of Warcraft, which is what
Dota
fed
was a
into World of
Warcraft 3 mod.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I was thinking of. Sorry.
That I didn't know. But there's a ton like tower defense games, just a ton of fun games. So I actually spent more time playing the mods and like different little games than the actual game itself. But so much fun. I just had playing and meeting people, and it was a lot of fun. My number 8 is specifically Pokemon Blue because that's the first Pokemon game I had.
Pokemon Digital Monsters.
Okay, what was your starter? What was your starter?
Oh, Bulbasaur. I still have my original Venusaur, I guess now. I still have him on the game because I kept trading it so that anytime I started new, I'd at least have him.
Nice.
That's fucking awesome.
So yeah, I still have him. And Pokemon Blue is actually on my Game Boy Advance right now. I wish I had a calculator to know how much time I've actually spent on that game.
God.
How many times I've beaten it.
I think I still have my old. I had red, and
yeah,
I had red. Daniel had blue, or was it vice versa? I don't know, but we still have it. But I don't think they work anymore. That's the sad part.
Yeah.
Oh, that is sad.
So yeah, and be careful with it, TJ, because I looked into it a little bit. Basically, those old Game Boy cartridges have a clock, an internal clock mechanism, a timer, and they were only designed to last so long, right? Because they knew technology would advance, games would advance, the series would advance. So eventually, depending on when you got the cartridge and all of this other random variable stuff, your cartridge may stop working. Just a heads
up. So sad.
So I actually have experience with this. And I was really close to putting Pokemon on my list, so if you don't mind, if you want to finish out, I'd like to say something about Pokemon in my experience.
No, we can talk about Pokemon right now.
Okay.
I know. I'm actually shocked it's not on your guys' list for how much
it was
about
really
it.
fucking close.
It was an honorable mention for mine. I was like, man, kind of want to put this on, but I had more concrete, better reasons for the ones that I did.
I guess for me too is I've traveled so much. It was one of my biggest traveling games. But yeah. But what were you gonna say about it, Matt?
Same for the traveling. It just didn't make my list because, like, I haven't played a Pokemon game since Black and White. So, like, I feel like I'm done with the series. But
what? You're a fucking liar.
Why?
You're telling me how awesome Pokemon Snap on the Switch was just the other day.
That's pretty. Yeah, that's true.
Oh man, Pokemon Snap was amazing. I forgot about that one too.
It's not an official Pokemon game. It's not a mainline.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay. So
I guess it's not mainline.
So you are
series
lying.
Game,
okay.
Yeah, I am lying. Sure, whatever. Anywho,
tried to give you an out.
Anywho, I was really torn between putting Gold or Sapphire in my list because I played the shit out of both of those games. I played Pokemon Sapphire so much that the clock died. The game didn't actually break. It doesn't break as long as the way that the clock dying functions in Sapphire and Red and Blue are the same. When your clock battery dies, time stops. All of the things, like the lottery and daily events, and anything that you can only do once a day,
the day-night cycle.
Time stops moving, and you can't do them anymore. I played the lottery. There were a bunch of dudes that you could go to get an item from a day. I think there were even some games, like there was some part of the contest that you could only do daily. Because Sapphire were the ones that the other game mode was like the Pokemon contest, like the beauty pageants and shit.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't do them anymore because the clock had died. So I've actually experienced, I didn't know that it was like a known thing. But I've experienced that problem, Dan.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate they did that too.
Well, I mean, it was back in the day. Those probably the limitations of the technology. If they wanted a day-night cycle, like, it happens, you know?
Yeah, that's true. That's fair. So my bottom 3 is like, I could probably replace those kind of easily with other games that I love. 7 is where it's like more of a solid wall, and then 6 through 1 is really hard to like. It has to be a great game. Not that there aren't a much more great games, but anyways, So my number 7 is Zelda Ocarina of Time. I absolutely loved that game and spent countless hours playing with my cousins and stuff like that. And we just go around the map because it was one of the first, like, more open world games, I guess, at least for systems. And just figuring out all the puzzles and the soundtrack, which I still listen to all the time. I've beat that game multiple times. I think I've 100%ed it, but just like in different segments, if that makes sense.
You've done everything in the game, but never in one run.
Yeah, so I really want to do it in one run. Which I still have my N64 and stuff downstairs in the basement.
Nice.
I have like my old school setup down there. So I will do that someday.
I do have to say something because I'm the person that says this. It's not Ocarina, it's Ocarina. There's no first R. It's just, look, if I don't say it, then we get fucking comments calling us idiots.
Oh,
Ocarina.
those comments are still going to be there. I post half of them. Yeah.
Thanks.
You're welcome, buddy.
Keeping me humble.
My next one, and this is where it gets into that solid like line, and I almost forgot about this game somehow, but the original Resident Evil 2. I like the whole Resident Evil series, but Resident Evil 2 was just so good.
So you don't like the remake?
I do like the remake, but it's not the original.
Fair.
He likes chocolate cake, but as soon as you put like strawberries on top, he fucking hates it. It's not the original. I'm just playing.
And I haven't played through the whole remake yet, so I can't judge it yet like that.
Have you played the newest one?
Yeah, but I haven't beaten it.
Oh,
Hate
gotcha.
the one with fucking
Like-
Dami Mommy?
Oh, you mean the newest one? Like the
Yeah.
Like the no, I haven't played that one yet. No, I need to play some of the newer ones. I haven't played them all. But Resident Evil, because you had to beat it 4 times to beat the game, twice with each person, and then I had fun modes that you could unlock after beating the game and stuff like that. And that Resident Evil 2 is the first game that really taught me ammo control. And like now I'm afraid to use stuff in games now because of that game. Because I got down towards the final boss and had like no ammo left, and there was none.
dude.
And I just had to figure out how I was gonna win.
Maybe Matt should play that game so he remembers to reload his fucking gun.
In what game are you talking about?
In a lot of shooters, you're like halfway through your magazine, and then you get into a fight and you're like, shit, I forgot to reload before the fight.
Yeah.
It happens in TTT. You mentioned it in Deep Rock. GTA, it was a huge thing.
God, the number of times I have the fucking jump on somebody as a traitor in TTT, and I just
Click.
empty my I bam bam click, and then
So the rule of thumb
fucking
for
Kyle
those
or
kind of
something.
the rule of thumb for those kind of games is if you have a space opening, just reload. Like if you know no one's right around the corner or something, you just reload.
To be fair, Matt does it more realistically. You wouldn't take a half full magazine out of your weapon just to put a full one in. Like, you don't magically refill that magazine in real life.
Here you go. Even worse. You don't fire one shot, like one burst, and then reload real quick.
Yeah, so Matt,
Sniper
Matt,
bomb.
you'll do wonderfully in a real life scenario. In video games, it doesn't work.
I mean, I'll still do just as
Yeah.
bad. I'll still pop out from around the corner, shoot one shot, and then click, and then get murdered. It's not like I'm thinking about
Dude.
that stuff. It's not like I don't want to waste my ammo.
You-
I just forget.
You should play the VR shooter game that Kyle and I play. Shit, I forget the name of it.
Zero caliber.
Zero Caliber, yeah, because that's actually a mechanic in that one. Is if there are rounds left in your magazine, you don't just magically get those added to your total
That's nice. That's
by
fun.
by reloading early. So you do great in that one.
I still don't think I would do great.
Speaking of that though, and Resident Evil 2 would be both good and bad, but I would purposely not reload so I could conserve ammo. I would force myself to take less shots, if you know what I mean.
I guess it'd be interesting.
Because you have your inventory, and it takes up space to hold the ammunition in your inventory.
Right.
So you can only carry so much and stuff to be able to carry everything else needed. So it's but back to Resident Evil. I absolutely love the puzzles and stuff. I mean, it took forever, especially the N64 version, to figure out how to move.
Oh my
Because
god.
it's very wonky.
Fucking tank controls and movement
Oh.
doesn't change based on perspective.
Right, and it's like inverted, kind of. It's
Yeah.
really. But once you get the hang of it, it's like nothing. It's nothing. It's really easy to move around and stuff.
I
and
completely get
aiming.
what you mean about like once you get used to the crappy controls, it's actually not that bad. I experienced this with both Banjo and Kazooie and Kingdom Hearts 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Kingdom Hearts 1 was pretty wonky too. But yeah. So that's my bottom 5. I usually say my top 5. More fun.
Damn it.
I have always been
There's a reason
told
for
that
it, though, Dan.
that I would love number 5.
I
have
Oh,
never
yes,
I
you
played
think
it.
would.
you fucking
You
would.
absolutely would. So you have played Conker's Bad Fur Day? Conker's
No,
Bad
I
Fur Day
have
is my
never played
is my
it.
number 5. No, Dan.
Oh,
No, I
okay.
watched somebody on YouTube play
Oh my
some
God.
of it, and I'm like, this is a fucking ridiculous game.
It is the game for you, Matt, for sure.
Is it a collectathon?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah, it's
Also-
it's very like Spyro Banjo Kazooie esque.
It's a game I shouldn't have been playing 10 to 13 or whatever when I was
You
playing.
know,
I'll let TJ explain it.
Also, something I learned later in the gaming magazines that I read is Conker's Bad Fur Day was supposed to be a kid-friendly game. It was going to be called something else, and someone stole the idea and put it out right before they put out their version.
Nice.
Ruined it. They got pissed, so they made Conker's Bad Fur Day. And basically, you're a squirrel. You're a cussing squirrel, and you part of the game is to get drunk and to pee on people. That's part of it.
It's that hard.
It's a bunch of movie spoofs.
Yeah.
Like a ton of movie spoofs. The Matrix, Saving Private Ryan, which is Saving Private Rodent in it. You fight evil teddy bears,
Oh, jeez.
chop their heads off and stuff like that.
And they bleed, right?
Yeah, they bleed.
yeah,
There's
the teddy
blood.
bears bleed.
And like stuffing flies out. There's
I was about to
different
say,
colors
do they,
of blood.
like- do they like scream bloody murder? Like, oh my god!
No, they have like a weird verbiage thing that you can't understand. But there are other squirrels and
so
stuff
it's
that
like
talk. And there's like, I forget. There's like,
Simlish.
yeah. Well, no, you can understand some of them. You would just have to kind of see that part. There's little French like squirrel type rodent things. I forget exactly what they are. They're pretty hilarious. There's like old caveman stuff. There's racing. There's shooting. It's like everything you could think of in a game.
Racing, you say?
There's a part where you have to jump on sunflowers' breasts to get up to a point to collect.
All right, hold on.
Because
I have a
you're-
question.
Jeez.
I have a question.
Yes,
What system is this for?
64. And if
Damn
you're gonna
it.
play it, to play the 64 version, because the newer version they bleep out even more things. They only
I'm not
bleep
gonna
out
play it. I
couple
don't
things
have
for
a
the
64.
You
I'm
can-
not playing a
you
I'm
can
not
emulate
buying a
it.
64.
Yeah,
You can
emulate it.
emulate it.
Duh.
And the sunflower, it's because you're going to help the king bee that got like a divorce with the sunflower and trying to help. Your main objective of the game is to collect $1 million. Alien is a spoof too. The Matrix spoof is hilarious and a lot of fun. But not only that, so that's all the story. Like that's the story part of the game. There's a mass multiplayer version that was like, to me it was evolutionary of how multiplayer works. For like FPSs and stuff like that. So this is like an not first person, you're still third person. But you have swords, submachine guns, M16 sniper rifles, bazookas, all that stuff. You're just running around these maps. There's racing multiplayer modes. There's ones where you're a raptor and you have to run around and eat people. And the other team is trying to collect your eggs and stuff like that. It's just a lot of different things.
This
It's a lot of fun.
sounds insane.
And then there's I think it's Gary the Grim Reaper. He is hilarious. The first time you die, he just starts bound mathing you and like hating his job. And he's like, but you're a squirrel, so you get to collect these tails, so you get to you get extra lives. And that's like he explains So it's actually kind of beneficial to die early because you can't start collecting tails until you die. I think is how that worked. Your health bar is a 6-piece chocolate bar. Just a bunch of craziness and a ton of fun that I think everyone here would love.
That sounds awesome.
And I want to really play through it again now that I'm talking about it. That was the one that I forgot, and I had remembered, and then I forgot again, and then remembered today, thankfully. My next one, which brings back what you were talking about, I forget which of you brought it up, but the being worried about the remakes or the sequels, is Diablo 2. My number 4, because the remake's about to come out next month, and then, which is August if we date our episode, and then Diablo 4 is coming out probably within a year. So there's no release date, right, Dan? It's just
Not that I've
is.
seen.
Yeah, it just is. But kind of like League of Legends, I met a lot of friends. I just love. I think the gameplay for Diablo 2 nails that kind of style of game, which I don't really know what that style is called. Do you guys know?
I think it's the defining genre. So it's like an isometric Diablo-esque, basically.
Isometric, like
Oh.
dungeon crawler.
To help you understand Hades earlier, map style is the same. That angle on your character,
Yeah.
that is how Hades plays. So you might like Hades as a roguelite.
Probably. But just, I mean, the story was great. The gameplay felt really good. The PvP and the PvE, it seemed more balanced. It seemed like it was easy enough for if you just wanted to chill and play, you could do that. But if you wanted to really get into it, you could also do that to make sure to play at the higher levels. You had to know what you were doing to do the skill trees and stuff. And why I think Diablo 3 failed is they made it way too easy and accessible to people. Not accessible, but like, I forget how I explained it when
So
Dan and I talked
basically-
about it one time.
It seems like you're saying that Diablo 2 was easy to play, hard to master,
Yeah,
and Diablo 3
it's just easy.
was
left click
was
to win.
easy.
Yeah, and it took
So there was no,
thought to get into
like-
skills. Now they fixed Diablo 3 a little bit, but it's still pretty. It's not as thought provoking to me.
Yeah, in order
So you basically
to have
just
difficulty,
missed the game asking more of you.
yeah, in order to have difficulty in Diablo 3, you have to be like way, way, way advanced. And then eventually you'll need to like worry about resistances and stuff like that. But even then, like there's only so much tactical consideration to make in it, you know?
We're in Diablo 2, you're thinking about it the whole way through. I think it feels more rewarding when you find certain set pieces and stuff like that too, in the trading and all that stuff.
And the
So I'm really
cow
looking forward to
level.
this remake. Oh yeah, the secret cow level, which was really fun. And I know they have like a secret level in Diablo 3, but I don't think it felt the same because
Because it's not really a
I don't know.
secret because you know about it from the second one, so you're expecting it in the third one.
yeah, and they just did it like I mean, it's cool. It was enjoyable and it was funny, but it just didn't hit the same. And you have to go through like a process to get to the one in Diablo 2.
But TJ,
Yes,
in Diablo 3, have you been to the fairy cupcake level?
that's what I'm talking about.
Oh,
So that's like
That's-
that's like the secret level. It's not really. A secret.
oh, the cow level is still a thing too, though. Like they're different things.
Is there a cow level in Diablo 3?
Yes,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it
I don't
is.
remember
You
that.
have to make a very advanced, difficult item to activate it. So it's still
Oh.
got a challenge at least.
Okay, I did not know about that one. No. Okay, that's fair. Yeah, I can't wait to do the cow level in the remake. Anyways, I'm very stoked about this remake because it looks like they kept it what it's supposed to be.
Is the unicorn rainbow level? Is that the cupcake thing in Diablo 3 or is
Uh-huh.
that Diablo 2?
That's Diablo 3. The only the only level like that is the cow level. And one of the secrets to the cow level is if you open the portal, if someone kills the king in your portal, you can never open it again.
Rip.
You have to go into someone else's portal.
I'm sure there was lots of griefing with that.
Oh yeah, there is a ton. And you know, it just is what it is. I absolutely love Diablo 2. And like a lot of games are 8-person or whatever. To have 8 people for a party, that was fun. It made me sad when Diablo 3 cut it in half instead of having 8 people. But I won't harp too much on D3 as much as I love D2. And the thing about all these, so from 7 on down, is I love stories, and the stories for all these are really good to me. Which brings me to Halo 1 through 3 specifically, and it's really hard for me to pick one out of those 3 that I like more than the others, because I like different things about each one, but they're all pretty equivalent. But the story from 1 to 3 is just so good, and I think John was mentioning it in the last episode on how they ended it so nicely.
Yeah,
where they could have done anything with it.
Yeah, there's so many awesome parts. I remember the first game, like, I don't know, just the Master Chief was silent until like the end of that first mission, and like, what's the first thing out of Chief's mouth? Punch it. It's like, oh, this guy's fucking awesome.
Yeah. Or the I'm giving them back their bomb. When he gets
that was that in
the
2?
First mission on the first mission.
Oh my god, just flying through space,
and
attached their
scene,
bomb. Like, fuck.
Yeah. It was just such a nice cinematic story that you got to play through. Like, I felt like I was in the story, and they did a really good job.
And then they add
the
feel
that way.
Arbiter, and like, wait, I gotta play an alien? Hell
yeah.
Arby and the
A
Chief.
badass one at that.
Fucking Arby. Oh my god, I forgot about that.
And then so like a fun fact for that is I like to read the books too, and the books really make that story grow. But the second book is the first game.
Yeah.
And I went back after reading the book and played the game the way the book portrayed Master Chief and how he did the missions within the book. And it was really fun doing it like that, as close as you could do it.
Wait, what? Is that just like running in, ripping shit up and blowing stuff up?
No, like how he would hide behind certain rocks, how he would drop
it.
certain guns and pick up other guns.
I was really hoping you'd be like, yeah, you basically just went in and tore shit up. I'm like, I was doing it right the whole time, John.
God, there was in the first game, like one of the final levels, you're going through the library, the archives or something.
Mm-hmm.
God, I remember having the hardest time with that level because I was just so ammo starved. Like, I just was dropping a gun, unloading, picking up another, just like, and then the flood would come and like, well, they don't have any guns. Shit.
Yeah, that was the first time the flood were like the main enemy or whatever. So you weren't getting shit.
That's one of the hardest missions. That's the other thing. Like, the game was satisfyingly difficult if you wanted it to be. Like, to go into Legendary. I mean, Halo 2 is one of the hardest games to beat on the hardest mode. So difficult.
Just
it's
like
so
Darkest Dungeon.
I mean, the challenge when I played it was because Daniel decided to drive the Warthog.
Okay. That's because driving that game is butts, and don't you try to defend it, TJ.
Oh no, it's once you get used to it though. I love
Not that
drifting in the
bad.
Warthog.
God, the Warthog has crazy drift. Like, holy cow.
Yeah, it's so much fun. Or like, see, did you guys not utilize the respawn point? Because if one of you dies, but one of you's out of combat, then you can just keep running in.
It was that
Never
part
restart
where
the
like
map.
you have to do a jump onto some panels, and like we kept falling short and just missing the platform. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, there's just so many iconic moments too
Oh yeah.
out of that, and the multiplayer through all 3 of those was great. Like, so to Dan's disheartenment when he saw my bottom 5 or my top 5, and not being COD as Halo was definitely it at that time. They've kind of reversed in their gameplay, and COD now has better gameplay, I think. Until this new Halo comes out, but it's not out yet.
So if this was my favorite games right now and not my favorite games of all time, then it would have been COD.
Probably. Yeah.
All right, I was close enough.
Yeah. And
Glad.
COD's a close. I mean, that's an honorable mention. It's close, but that's only too like within the year and a half of playing COD. For how long COD's been around, I've enjoyed CODs in the past for their stories, not so much for the multiplayers. That's a whole thing. My number 2 game, and I say I only have one FPS, but I have shooter games, throughout. They're just not first person.
Well, this is definitely not an FPS game.
Well, no, but I mean like
Resident Evil
my
2.
number one, Resident Evil 2,
and number 6.
Yeah, but FPS
kind of number
stands
5.
for first person
Yeah.
shooter. So
yeah. So
Yeah, not
I was just
first
trying to give you
squirrel
guys
shooter.
some yeah. My number 2 is Ace Combat 5 Unsung War, and one of the greatest stories I have ever played and been through multiple times. And I actually just rebought it because a quote unquote friend of mine stole my original copy way back in high school. And I'm replaying it right now. But Ace Combat is a jet fighting game. And I got it just because I wanted to play a jet fighting game. I did not get it I didn't think a story would be woven intertwinedly into it so beautifully. And it actually stems. My original gamer tag came from the game, which is Rosgrees. It's not a character, but like a lore character, I guess, within the game. Like there's like this book that has to do with Rosgrees, and Rosgrees was in its lore was a demon that came, destroyed everything, and then came back to give life. So basically a balancer of things, of war and things like that. And you're a squadron of 4. You lead the squadron. Your name is Blaze. You never see yourself. You kind of never you never talk, except for like when you answer their questions with a yes or no or something like that. And then there's Chuck, I think his name. I can't think of it. Nagase, which is a girl, and then Grim, which is like the newbie. And you fly around, do all these missions. I won't go super in depth into the story because it's hard to explain. Basically, there was this war that had happened in the past, and you're on an island. You start off on an island that's like in between in the piece, and then the one of the countries starts a war again. And there's traders within your base, and you end up becoming traders of your own side for a bit. Well, they think you're traders, but you're not really. And you're trying to fight both sides, all those different things. You end up getting your squadron tag ends up becoming the wings of Rosgrees, which is like that demon. So it plays a deep role. You have hidden allies that know you're not bad, so they kind of sneak you around, like aircraft carriers and stuff like that. And these different parts.
So,
go ahead.
is any of this game played outside of the ship, the fighter jet?
Nope.
Okay, interesting.
There's a lot of cutscenes in between missions and stuff.
Okay.
And the story is portrayed through a journalist. He's never in any of the missions or anything like that. But the story is viewed through his eyes, kind of. He's talking to the characters and doing all that, but you never see yourself, which is a common thing within the Ace Combat games. You never see you as the pilot because you are the pilot.
Do you ever get to fight the demon? Like shoot him or something? Or?
No, because he's just
Oh, he's just a dude.
no, he's not a
If
dude.
I-
He's
if I-
literally like a
myth.
a myth within the game.
As I understand
He's a
it,
story
these are
within the story.
realistic games.
Huh?
I said, as far as I understand it, these are realistic games. Like,
Yes.
this is
Yes.
supposed to be a real world, like set on Earth jet fighter game.
Right.
Oh, okay. Ah, man.
Yeah.
I was picturing like there's a level where you're just dog fighting and trying to take down the Balrog or something. Like that'd be kind of fun. God,
That would be fun, but no.
now I want a game where you're a fighter
Oh.
pilot trying to take down Godzilla. That'd be.
Basically, gate the game.
I just remembered Star Fox. What a great game that is too. Anyways, no.
Dual barrel.
There's also a fun multiplayer, which I think that was actually in the later Ace Combats. I would destroy people in. But there's like this big thing called the Arc Bird, which is like a big, giant plane that I think had like lasers or something. So it's like future tech type stuff that was gonna come wipe out everything. That you end up having a fight. Like it's on your side and then it gets traded. There's one of the characters who's like very chatty throughout everything, and he ends up sacrificing himself to save people that you're fighting for within the mission, and it made me cry because you lose your squadron member and stuff. That's like 3/4 of the way through, and it's just like it's a wide range of emotions. It's a huge story. So yeah, I forever have loved that game. I get chills just watching the trailer again for it. But yeah, that's Ace Combat. Now,
Cool.
for my number one, excuse me, is similar in the sense of the amazing story and multiple times I've beaten, and I know I've talked to at least Dan about this game, but Metal Gear Solid. Specifically the first one, but 1 through 4, like the storyline of that.
But what about Raiden's Revenge?
I'd never played that one.
Just for context, I have absolutely no clue about anything Metal Gear Solid. So
I have always kind of wanted to and been told that I would really like it, but I've never played a Metal Gear Solid.
well, that's not true.
They
I
are
do know
so good.
I do know two things about Metal Gear Solid. One, the boss fight where you had to move which port your controller was plugged into. I've heard that
Yes,
story.
I'll get to that.
And then the other one where you had to die to win, which I don't even know how they would program. So
I don't know which. I don't
he's
know what
like
that one is.
walking through. It's like he's walking through like maybe a swamp or something, and there's like the spirits of the characters that you killed during the game or something. He's like being forced to relive these visions or whatever,
Oh.
and you're supposed to like fucking die, but you don't actually die. You have to like use an item. I don't know. I just remember somebody telling me
Yeah.
about that too.
I forget which one that is. That might be. That's 3 or 4, I think.
I also know only two things about Metal Gear Solid. I know that the President of America is a fucking enemy in one of them, and he's this like big buff white dude, but he's got like some crazy powers that make his skin black and really hard or something.
No.
Okay.
I love that response. No.
And I guess I don't know that, so I only know one thing about Metal Gear Solid, and it's the clap of my ass cheeks.
Box.
Oh yeah.
Sneaking snake.
Box, yeah, the box.
And then
Sneaky
the parachute thing, you can put the parachute thing in the latest one on a cow and it'll like fly up into the air or whatever.
I did not know about.
Yeah,
that.
there's some pretty funny memes for the latest one with some of the tools.
Yeah, I think you get an
Oh.
anime waifu box in the latest one.
I'll give you this. There might be some crazy thing in like one of the newest ones, but specifically 1 through 4 that doesn't happen. Because that was like they tied the story together finally in a bow, and that was it.
Nice.
Because
And then the
All I know is
one
there's
was-
multiple snakes, but also apparently there's a recurring character who's related to, like, you always find him having diarrhea in the games or something.
There's always
oh,
a
he just
poop
gets
quest.
sick. It's just yeah. So okay.
TJ's
I
like,
wanna
"Oh,
get-
I gotta fucking defend it now.
It just he helps you because it's the premise of the game is to sneak around. You don't want to get into combat if you don't have to.
This is why I
If
that's how you
never
wanna
play
play the
these
game.
games.
If that's how you want to play the
I
game,
should
you
play
can
these
do
games.
it. They're blast. There are good combat, and the boss fights are fun and challenging. Like it's a very challenging game. Like I know I've told you guys before. I might even said it on air. I've beat Metal Gear Solid 11 times. It's a long game. It's a big game, and after the first time, it's more fun because you get invisibility, which makes the game way easier, and you can do some crazy stuff. But And now I'm trying to think of what I was going to defend. Oh yeah, there's like, so when you're trying to sneak around, you have to wait for the people to do certain things. You watch how their movements are, and then calculate how you're going to move through that part of the map to sneak around everybody and stuff like that, to work around vision, all that, because there's cameras. You have different grenades that help with that.
Yeah, that sounds like Matt's jam.
The reason why I absolutely love the game is the story is just so good and crazy and thought-provoking. You're talking about how there are multiple snakes. It's because you're actually a clone. Your character's a clone, and spoilers, sorry. And there's a couple other clones that are the evil guys. And then there's one guy who is not a clone, but then he ends up getting the arm of a clone attached to him. So then he becomes two people, kind of, because the clone starts taking over his mind.
Yes. I too keep my sentience and sapience in my arm.
Yeah. I'm not saying it doesn't have some, like, weird stuff, but it can be overlooked for the sake of the story.
I mean, this is made by the guy that made the fucking walking simulator, so...
Kojima. But so the first game, you run through this facility. You're trying to find Metal Gear, which is basically a walking nuclear tank that can fire from anywhere. The bad guys have taken over the facility and they're getting ready to armor it. What you don't know, your first playthrough. Well, I don't want to spoil too much if Matt wants to play it, though.
Yeah, I do want to play it, and I don't think a full plot. No offense, but I don't think a full plot synopsis is what we're here for.
It's fair.
We're here for why you love the game.
Well, it's because of the plot.
Yeah, but...
Okay, so I'll just say this. There are after credits with the games, and it was way before people were doing after credits. 2 keynotes, I guess. Yeah. Well before that. 2 keynotes that will help you, and I'm just saving your life in the sense of if you play it, doubly saving your life, because you'll have to Google this image, is I got fed up with the game at one point because it says, because you need to contact a person with your codec, which is like your radio, and you have to put in the frequencies. It says it's on the back of the CD case. And prior to that, you pick up like a CD item.
Mm-hmm.
I spent days looking for this image to find the frequency. Gave up. Months later, was just looking at my literal real life CD case. And it's on the back of your real life CD case.
Wait, so if I get it on an emulator, what do I fucking do?
Google it.
You Google it.
Oh, so it's the same for everybody?
Yeah, it's just an image of you talking to the chick, and it's her
Okay.
frequencies right there. So you can easily get it. It's just I wasn't expecting it to be real life. Look at this, and put it in. And then the other thing was what Dan was talking about. You get to a bad guy. There's 2 ways to beat him. The first is because he reads movements. He's his name is Psychomantis, and he can read your mind. And you cannot touch him unless he does the thing where it says Hideo and the screen goes black. And during that time, if you unplug your player 1, plug it into player 2, he can't read your mind. Or there's 2 statues in the room. And if you shoot, his face is ugly. He always wears a mask. There's 2 like statues. And if you shoot the tape off the statues, then he sees his face and it disrupts him and you can shoot him then. There's a lot of different things. The after credits are fun. I'll say this. The first Metal Gear is going through that. The second Metal Gear, you get into some new characters. You don't play a snake for a short while, and then you do play a snake later on. And then the third game is actually a prequel. So there's a character called Big Boss. I'm spoiling this a little bit for you because there's actually Nintendo versions of the game called Metal Gear, which have everything to do with the story. Metal Gear Solid is actually a sequel to those. So in those games, there's a character called Big Boss. You end up playing as Big Boss, which looks identical to Snake.
Mm-hmm.
And that storyline is basically how you become Big Boss, how he became Big Boss by. Well, I won't spoil that, but it's how you become that. And then the fourth game ties it all together.
My only question is, if 3 is a prequel, should I play it first?
No,
Okay.
mostly
Won't
because it can. Mostly because it. Oops! I just broke my pen. Mostly because it controls. It'll be hard going backwards because you can do
Okay.
more.
Best to
I
start
totally
with the
get that.
shittier controls.
Yeah, because once you get used to them,
Completely understand.
and because of the way the stories, there's certain introductions to characters within the first game and stuff that once you go back into the prequel, you'll be like, oh, okay.
You'd
'Cause
be like,
that's
it's
kinda
this
where
guy
his
instead
his
of,
start-
who the hell is this? What are they capable of? XYZ.
Yeah, just like a couple of them. Yeah. So that's my top 10: League of Legends, Warcraft 3, Pokemon Blue, Zelda, Ocarina of Time, Resident Evil 2, Conquer's Bad Fur Day, Diablo 2, Halo 1 through 3, Ace Combat 5, and the Metal Gear Solid series.
Now, I gotta ask, is this one of those things where you've always called it Ocarina, and it's hard to do it the other way now?
Yeah.
That's fair.
Most of your list, I feel like I knew and could have like kind of guessed. I did not expect Conker's Bad Fur Day to be smack dab in the middle of it. I did not know you were into that. That's funny.
Oh my
Smack dab in the middle and above the "this is the actually important ones" line.
Oh, because that one is just once you play it, you'll know.
Certainly
just-
formative, I'm betting.
It's unique.
That's so like from Zelda on up, you could kind of transfer some out. Zelda's hard. Resident Evil's really hard to beat. Conker's Bad Fur Day is like unbeatable. You're not gonna touch that top 5 for me. It's gonna be hard. That's all. So that's my top 10. The floor is now yours, John. Unless anyone has any other comments for my top 10.
No.
I guess I guess it's a very limited set of Resident Evil games, but I was just going to say, I'm kind of surprised you've never tried me to get to play a Resident Evil game with you, but I suppose not very many of them are co-op.
I'd love to play 5 with you.
Is that the one where one player's a little girl?
No.
Okay, I've heard stories about that one where the player who's the little girl just hides in a dumpster and then the other person gets through the level.
I have no idea which one that is.
That's 4.
Okay.
But that's not.
Oh, the
a
president's
two-player
daughter.
game.
Yeah. I've heard of that
Okay.
one.
The entire game is an escort mission.
Yeah. Oh. So yeah. All right, John.
Oh boy.
All you.
All right. So callback to previous episode, there was a bet to see how many of my top 10 matched my brother's. Do we want to do a quick run through of what yours were, Daniel?
Oh yeah, just to remind people, sure. My top 10 were Borderlands 2, Tyrion, Divinity Original Sin 2, Monster Hunter World, Terraria, Deep Rock, Final Fantasy XIV Online, City Skylines, Darkest Dungeon, RimWorld.
All right. So to keep things interesting, I'm not posting mine until we get to the end here, so Matt and Daniel can just enjoy the ride.
Your monster.
So number 10 on my list of games. A lot of my list, I don't continue to play all of these, but some of them are ones I keep playing even to today, but a lot of them are ones that I remember fondly and have impacted how I play games or look at games now. So number 10 is a very interesting one. It breaks the mold of the common game, because in Overlord you play the villain.
It's a good one.
Yeah, you are not the prince saving the princess from the dragon. You are not the hero saving the land. No, long ago there was an evil overlord. Heroes came together, overthrew, and killed him. You are the next iteration of the overlord, raised by the evil, impish minions. Growing up, you know only cruelty, evil, wickedness, and so you start the game off with a raid on the local village. and you send your little minions off to destroy property, set things on fire, loot houses, that kind of stuff, and just basically slaughter people left and right and center. You are the bad guy the whole game. So it's very funny because like the heroes and adventurers of old that slew your predecessor, like they're all now corrupt rulers of the land. So you get to go one by one killing the party of adventurers that slew your predecessor. I remember the first one is the halfling bard who's now like so fat. The boss battle is in his like kitchen. He's rolling around because he's just a big sack of meat.
Fuck.
You too get to save the princess because she doesn't want to marry the asshole prince. So
she's like secretly a raging bitch.
Yeah. So you capture the princess, but she's like, thank God you got me away from that asshole.
It's a good one.
Yeah, there's a whole series. My favorite of the ones I've played has got to be Overlord 2, where you're like fighting the Roman emperor. There's a great scene where like you have to sneak your minions inside to open the door to let you in. So they go kill a bunch of guards, put on their armor, and then they like march like a platoon, just start whistling like as they march through the whole base. Yeah, God, there's so many good parts to it. But yeah, you're the evil bad guy. You're the Sauron walking through the land, destroy everything in your path, and it's great.
I always wanted to play those games. I even have them on Steam. I just never got around to it.
They're really good, John.
Yeah.
I think in the first one you only ever controlled your minions. In the second one, didn't you actually get to walk around as the Overlord?
No, the first one you did as well. The second one, your Overlord actually had like spells and stuff. In the first one, you kind of just had like a melee attack. It was your minions were your power.
Okay.
They had like different elements. If you've ever played Pikmin, it's kind of like that. You kind of control the horde of monsters, and you're kind of just the controller. You don't have a lot of power or strength. But if you died, of course, you lost. And yeah, so like each kind of Pikmin or minion basically had different abilities, strengths, weaknesses, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think for a lot of your list, I'm going to go like, oh yeah, that game was great.
So I love that one because to me, I always remember because it broke the mold. Like most games, you are the hero, the champion or whatever. But this one's like, nah, just go tear shit up, kill everybody. You're the bad guy.
That is fun.
Yeah, it's reminiscent of another game, but it might be on your list, so I'm gonna leave it off and save it for honorable mentions if it's not.
Write it down so you don't forget it.
Good call.
Yeah. All right, number 9 on my list. I put this one here because this is one I will boot up and play. It's a guilty pleasure. It is not game defining, game breaking, anything like that. It really is a guilty pleasure. It is a game called One Finger Death Punch.
Ah, yes.
It is a mouse game where you only left click or right click. You are a stick figure in the middle of your screen, and hordes of bad guys come from each side, and you have to tap left click to kill a guy on the left or right click to kill a guy on the right. And it's all like crazy kung fu animations, and like you get power-ups to slow down time. You can just take weapons, throw them through that. So like it's crazy, goofy martial arts stuff. There's lightsabers, there's laser nunchucks. You get all like lightning bolt power-ups, and yeah, it's just a guilty pleasure of sitting there spamming 2 buttons, feeling like a badass. It's on Steam. It's a couple bucks. Again, it's my like guilty pleasure of like if I don't want to sit down and play a long game, but I just kind of want to jam because there's great music to it as well. I'll just boot that up and just kill a bunch of stick figure men.
Nothing wrong with that.
Awesome.
That's always nice to have a game like that.
Yeah. Then number 8. I wanted to put this game on here because it was one of the first like multiplayer games I've ever played. It was a game that I have fond memories of as a kid. It was one of the first console games I ever had and played. I remember every birthday party, every like get together, we played this. We booted it up, and everybody went to town on Super Smash Brothers Melee. Man, I was Samus and Mario were my go-tos. Daniel over here, freaking Falco.
You fucking
Oh, man.
hated the way I played that game.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, you were always a pain to fight.
Josh was also a fucking Falco.
Falco, and then when they came out with the newer games, Pit.
Oh,
I
hated
jam.
Oh my god, Pit.
Josh was a Falco and I was a Marth, and the
fucking
epic
Marth
combats-
main, get out of here.
the epic combats me and Josh would have were awesome.
Yeah, Martha's far worse than Falco. Screw that. Oh. I always loved Link and Young Link.
I don't know why you feel that way. They both have the super fast fuck you combat.
Marth is actually like number 1 S+ tier in Melee because of his moveset.
Doesn't he have the
and
counter?
hitboxes. Yeah, his
Yeah, the
counter's
counter.
good. He has a chain combo that you can interrupt or stop partway through. His B up is stupid good. His side smashes are broken, and his dunk, when you do the down attack in the air, it has like one of the highest forces. So if you fucking do that on someone off the side of the edge, they're basically fucked. Like he's broken. He's literally mechanically broken, but that's talking about at uber high tiers of play. So like if you're playing with your friends, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I mean, me and Josh are pretty damn good, so
Okay.
the tipping factor may have been I was Marth.
My boy came out in Brawl with Ike.
Oh, dude, Ike is fun. I like Ike.
Yeah.
He's like a less shit Ganon.
Oh, I felt so bad with Brawl when they got rid of my Samus and they made her like Zero Suit, and you had to get the power up to become normal. I'm like, what? What'd you do to my character? So I was actually
really liked
upset.
playing Zero Suit Samus. That was my second.
Yeah, skin tight girl. We get it.
I was really good with her. She's really fast and her lightning whip.
I mean, that's why I liked the normal Samus. She felt very heavy and strong. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, Super Smash Brothers. I mean, I think everybody has played it at some point or another. Everybody's got a character or a favorite memory from that. And again, like I grew up in that time period where that was like the go-to game because you could have 4 people or you could set up a tournament. There were goofy items. So like you could have an S rank Marth player on your team, but the one guy throws a Pokeball that just Lugia him off the fucking platform. You're like, haha, get wrecked. So it was there's huge swing just with the items alone. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. Then number 7, this is another game. God, I hope nobody's still playing this game. But it's on here because this was my first. Everybody has like their first video game. Like I'd played Pokemon before this, but that was on a handheld. You kind of played it by yourself. This was like, I consider it my first video game that got me into the like, there are other games out there and there's multiplayer games, things like that. Man, I started playing this back in middle school. Had a bunch of friends that invited me to God. They probably don't have them anymore. The game stores that were just like a room of computers, like you rented
LAN
time
parties.
on. Yeah. So this was my first video game, as I like to call it, Battlefield 1942. I have so many crazy fond memories of this game. Like again, having never really played, like I was like, why would I do WASD? Like there are arrow keys. Why wouldn't I use the arrow key? Like I was at that point of gaming. Couldn't aim at all. But my friends were like, yeah, come play with us. We'll teach you. I remember that first session, this memory, I'll never forget it, was the username of the guy who was helping me out. It was Stoic Sniper number or something. And he was on the other side of the room from me, but in that game, like there was no Discord, there was no Ventrilo, there was none of these yet. So it was like in-game comms. So you had to be near each other to talk to each other. He was driving the Humvee. God, this may have been Desert Combat or 42. I don't know, the same vein. And he was driving, and he like took a turn too sharp and started rolling down a hill. He's like, "Get out of the car! If it lands on his roof, it blows up." And I was like, "Oh, okay. How do I get out of the car?" So I'm like sitting there looking at the keyboard, trying to figure out. As we're rolling down this hill, he jumps out of the car because he knows what the button is, and the Humvee rolls over him, killing him. And I'm just, yeah, and I'm stuck in the Humvee, rolling, watching him die, and then it lands on its wheels, so it doesn't blow up. So I'm stuck in the passenger seat, dead guy on the cliff who was telling me how to play the game, and I'm like, oh, cool, I didn't die. How do I get in the driver? And I just look over the computer and I shout, "Hey, I didn't die." And he's like, "Oh, that's good. Drive it out of there." I'm like, how do I do that?
Jeez.
Fuck.
Oh yeah, there's so many like stupid dumb memories of that. Like not understanding what's good against what. Like, oh, there's a tank. I'll throw a grenade at it. Bounces off the tank. And I kill an ally. I'm like, oh shoot, okay.
Thunk.
Yeah, just like learning the basics of like what is a video game? How do you play it? How do you aim? So yeah, that was
those are games I've always wanted to get into too. Is the Battlefield games.
Oh yeah, I remember like getting much better. I remember in Battlefield Vietnam pissing Daniel off as I sniped him with an M60.
Yeah,
that's how that
makes
gun works.
Fucking sense.
Yeah. For those who don't know, M60 is like the big gun you'd see Rambo carry that's like belt fed and just has a wide spray. Like it's not accurate at all. And I headshot him from like 100 yards with an M60.
Look, clearly this just means Dan is bad at dodging.
I like 1942 as well for one specific reason of that was the first time John like asked me to play a video game with him because his team needed one more person for a tournament. And they couldn't find anybody, so he came and asked me just so they had enough people to go and play. And I was like, oh, my brother wants me to play a game with him. So I was super nervous. I'm like, man, I hope I do okay. Like, oh, I just remember that feeling, and it was really nice.
Local tournament at the game shop or whatever. Yeah.
Oh, just real quick.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, because that just brought me a memory for mine, is that when Halo 2 came out, there's a big Halo 2 tournament at this like little local game shop, and they put on this big tournament, and they got like wings because they thought 50 maybe 100 people would show up. And a lot of people I ended up meeting there. I ended up meeting again later in life. Like at high school and stuff, because when I was in middle school, like 900 people showed up.
Jeez.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it was huge. It lasted all
Everybody
day.
share
It
a
was
wing.
Blast. Yeah, well, there's a Wendy's right next door, and they got slammed. Like literally just like a couple feet away. So everyone went there on their off matches and stuff like that. It was a blast. I just want to say that it's cool I miss those old local tournaments and stuff like that. That seem to happen less. Anyways. Sorry.
No, that's good, man. Oh, let's see. So that was number 7. Number 6 on my list. In the same vein as like Metal Gear Solid, it's a franchise. Assassin's Creed 1 through 3. And when I say 1 through 3, I mean all of 2. Because 2 came out in like multiple chunks. So yeah, I chose this because this is the arc of in Assassin's Creed. If you haven't played it, you play a man entering a machine to relive the genetic memories of his, family tree.
Ancestors.
So you play multiple people in history, but the whole game is through the memories of Desmond Miles. So his story is 1 through 3, even though he plays multiple people throughout history. Man, the story for this game, so good. They do a great job of integrating the game into actual like historical events. Like if you pay attention to all the little stuff, you find out like Hitler was a Templar and World War II was the Assassins versus the Templars, and like them finally assassinating Hitler because he was getting too close to some artifact. the electric wars in American history. I think it was Tesla versus
Edison.
right. Yeah, Tesla's
Edison. Yeah. One was an assassin, one was a Templar. That's really what that was. I was like, oh, they did such a good job of like tying this all in. It was really good. Yeah, you got to explore like really. They did a great job of reconstructing the cities based off of like ancient maps. So a lot of what you saw in those games were how those cities were laid out, and they did their best to try to make them historically accurate. So they took their sweet time making these games, but you could tell like the love, the effort, really shined. The first one, like most in this series, like it didn't have that polish, but you could see what they were trying to do. The first one you play as Altair in basically a time during the Crusades. So like there's the Crusaders are there. You're where the Assassin's Creed comes from. Again, this is real history. In the Middle East, they were assassins. So they aren't ninjas, which is I think really why they don't want to do a ninja game. It's because they aren't. They are not ninjas. They are assassins, and that is a completely different thing. They had their own code, the way they did stuff in that time period. And yeah, they were basically protecting the people of the Middle East from the invaders, because like in the game, the Crusaders were not nice. They viewed everybody as a heretic, and they were all sentenced to die and go to hell. But in the game, it's all about earning back the trust you lose at the beginning and kind of moving your way through, but then it becomes a much bigger story arc, and you find out through 1 through 3 that the assassins are actually of a bloodline of basically, for long story short, like aliens. The gods of old, the pantheons, Greek, Norse, Egyptian, like they are actually an alien race that came to this world a long time ago and made humanity, the Adam and Eve and all that stuff. And so there are pieces, artifacts that they have left behind, and something happened to them. And you learn that story of what happened to that race, why this war is really happening between the Assassins and the Templars, what these artifacts are for, and it's just an awesome, crazy story. Like I said, the first game, there's a little bit of polish, but it's huge, it's beautiful, it's great because you don't just be like, hey, go kill that guy. Like, that's not how the quests work in that game. It's, we need to kill this man, but he's a man of power, so you can't just walk up to him. You got to figure out, like, what is his schedule for the week? Who does he trust? How can we get in close? Does he have enemies? Figure out when and where you're going to kill him. Lay out your escape route, like that kind of stuff. Like, you have to set up the whole thing in the first game, which is awesome. There was nothing like it before. And yeah, just they carried that over into the second and all the parts in the third game. The second one, I think, is the best ancestor. You play as Ezio Auditore during the Italian Renaissance. Your buddy is frickin' Leonardo da Vinci. That's super cool. But yeah, the games were just a lot of fun. But yeah, I chose 1 through 3 because starting with Black Flag, they definitely took a different path, different route. But the story was great, and I remember every bit part of it, all the twists, and yeah.
Those are games I really want to play through too.
I remember all the wild theories that my brother and I would go through as we discovered the little like video clips from 2, and it's the Adam and Eve plot line that it's hinting at, and I just like, that was really cool. I know it was a really big sticking point that a lot of critics and people were kind of like, why is this even here? I don't really like this. I'm like, dude, they're trying to do something wildly crazy with the long-term plot of this game. Why are you poo-pooing it? Like, you don't even know what it is yet.
I was slow playing the first one, and I was about halfway through it. By slow playing, I just mean like making sure I got everything that I could get at each point.
Mm-hmm.
And then I lost all my data.
Oof.
I just haven't got back to it yet, but I'm going to.
Yeah, I as like interesting and in depth as the first one is, the free running, which is like what really sold that game, again is at its clunkiest in the first game. Like I would read the synopsis and then jump straight into 2. That's when the story really starts to ramp up. Because basically at the end of the first one, you find an apple of Eden, and that's your first hint that there's more to this story, and that's about it. Everything else really comes into play starting in 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Good to know.
To one last thing, as long as you're done, to speak to the historical accuracy of these games. When Notre Dame burned down, they used scans that Ubisoft did for the Assassin's Creed game set in France. I think it was Unity, to like as a starting point to like how the fuck are we gonna recreate Notre Dame?
Oh wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean they do their best. I mean ultimately there's going to be inaccuracies. Nothing's perfect. It's been so long since the time frames that we're looking at, but they try. They genuinely give it their fucking best to try and make that shit as accurate as possible where relevant.
Awesome.
Yeah, so that's my bottom 5 right there. So far, I've had no matches with my brother's list.
It's true. I'm wondering if 14 is even on your list. You may have left it off. So this will be interesting.
I have my money prepared to give to you.
Well, sadly, the next item on my list is I just wrote down MMO, but that does include Final Fantasy 14.
Okay.
So yeah, number 5 is just kind of MMOs in general because the first one I played when I was much younger, I played RuneScape. Then I played a lot of World of Warcraft. Then after World of Warcraft, I was in like I would get the itch every once in a while. I'm like, I don't want to go back to WoW. So I would try other ones online. Like, man, I've tried so many. I've tried like Terra, I've tried Bless, I tried Rift. Yeah, I kind of bounce around trying them all, but none of them really. Yeah, it was all like, man, this just makes me want to play WoW. Or it's like I'm the only one playing this one. I want to play with my friends. It's the whole point of an MMO. So I would start and stop a lot of them like level 30 or 40 something. I remember Neverwinter. Remember we tried that for a while.
Yeah, we were both very disappointed too.
Yeah.
Oh, you tried it too, TJ?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But then, I tried Final Fantasy a while back. It was still, the free trial was up to level 30. And I gave it a shot, mostly because, like, I had always heard about Final Fantasy. I'd played, like, 1 or 2 Final Fantasy games, but to me, the story was just, like, what the fuck is going on? Like, I could never follow the story of any of those games. I'm like, okay, there's an MMO. Let me give this a shot. So I tried it. I got a class up to 30. I liked some of the difference to it. Like, oh man, I only need one character to be every class. Like for WoW, I had to make 50 different characters. I was like, okay, so what faction do I? What? There's no faction. What? Okay, this is weird. All right, and then I was like, playing around, all that stuff, slowly learning the game, and it quickly became like, man, Final Fantasy is much more story oriented than a lot of other MMOs, which was again different to me. And as my other games, like some of the other games I've talked about, story is kind of a big deal. You'll see that in my top 4 here. Yeah, so I just I stopped afterwards due to some real life stuff, but then one of our mutual friends had been playing it. And then Daniel was like, you know what? I want to try another MMO. And I'm like, oh, God, I think I tried this. I may have a character. But yeah, I'm down to give it a shot to play with other people. And that was over a year ago, and we're still playing. So
yeah, that period where you tried the free trial, we both actually were trying it together. So I have that character from when we did it too. But to your point, we didn't really have a lot of people playing it. Which we knew the same guy at that time. We just didn't really I don't know if we knew he was into Final Fantasy at the time.
Yeah, we didn't
So
really tell anyone
didn't
we were
know.
trying MMOs. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a good one, I think.
But yeah, I usually have an MMO itch. It is its own unique game genre. Just being able to run around and kind of just do stuff, whether it's grindy or play the auction house or go do something like. There's so much variety. Like every time you log in, you could do something different, which a lot of games don't have that depth. They focus on one thing or another. It's like go do the main storyline, go fight some people in a FPS game, you know, that kind of thing. But MMOs kind of have multiple hats, and that's what I like about them is like I don't feel like fighting today. I want to go, I don't know, get some eggs and cook something. Or oh, there's ocean fishing. Let's go fish in the ocean. And then for some odd reason, if you catch the right amount of fish, everything goes psychedelic rainbow colored. And it's like, sure, all right, let's go. Like, there's all sorts of crazy shit in that game, and it's great. And then just meeting people. Like, we started playing with there were 4 of us, and now there's like 12 people. We all hang out and discuss. So like, we keep growing. I'm pretty sure we could go join these, you know, bigger guilds, make a lot of friends and things like that. So it's a lot of fun.
Cool.
So yeah,
Agreed.
that's number 5, MMOs.
Before we jump from your MMO topic, I just wanted to throw out to both the people here and any viewers, there's a new MMO made by Amazon that's currently in a closed beta. It'll be coming out soon, called New World. I've had the opportunity to try out the closed beta. It's pretty good. It's pretty enjoyable. It's simpler so far than a lot of the MMOs we've talked about here. So if you kind of want to get involved in an MMO, but you worry about the complexity and understanding the basic kind of MMOisms, which I know was a big learning hump for Matt here, it might be something interesting to look into. The theme is very interesting as well. It's kind of like a conquistador colonial style theme to start with, but it has heavy fantasy elements and magic and stuff like that as well. So just if you're looking for something, it's coming out soon-ish. And
Does it seem like one I would like?
I think you might actually like it more than Final Fantasy. I think it's more up your alley, so I'd be down to try it with you. But the combat is more involved than your typical MMO. So you have blocking, active dodging, you have to time your attacks, stuff like that. So just something to look out for, just to the audience and to all of you. I intend to at least play it casually, at least for a while, to see if I like it. So I can let you know how it is as I play, stuff like that. But I figured I'd mention it since we're on the topic of MMOs.
Mm-hmm. Number 4.
All right. So for my list, 2 through 5, I could kind of move in any order. They're all about on par, starting with MMO. And then also keep tabs on the bet. So far, there's 1 match with my brother's list.
I'm fairly certain I've failed.
I'm waiting for Deep Rock to come up.
All right. Number 4 I have on my list is not the series, because I think 2 and 3 are garbage, but the number 1, the OG Fable game.
Ooh.
God.
Yeah.
I love that game so much. I beat it 5, 6, 7. I don't remember how many times I beat it. But you could do the good guy ending, the bad guy ending, the neutral. There was because like there were multiple like key decisions. You could do them in different orders and get slightly different endings. And oh my god, I played that game way too much as a kid. But god, it had everything from like you're the young hero, you're the chicken chaser. You could break in and steal. You could be the money lord and buy all of the world. You could fight bugs. Later on, there was a zone with werewolves. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. The bad guy, dude. The bad guy in Fable 1 is probably one of my top villains ever.
Jack of Blades.
Jack of Blades. That son of a bitch. Oh my
Such a
god.
good villain.
Yeah.
He's tied for number 1 video game villain for me.
Man, I can never make him
tied
number
with?
1, but yeah.
The tie is Handsome Jack from Borderlands 2. Like he's too fucking good. Come on.
I've never really thought about like my favorite villains. It's an interesting thought.
God, of course you say Handsome Jack. Now I'm just like, where's my diamond horse? Butt Pony! Come here, Butt Pony!
Butt Stallion.
Butt Stallion, that's what it was. Oh my god.
Man, we should do an
Jack.
episode on favorite game villains eventually.
Jeez.
That'd be a good one.
Oh yeah,
Dude, I
I'll have to
mean,
think harder
John's
about that.
return.
number one is, like, I'm sorry. He's my number one villain in anything is the Joker. Like, I'm already going to say that right
Yeah.
now. Oh my
Pretty
god.
good.
Anyway, Fable. It's a great game. You could play it so many different ways. Like, God, being an evil mage in that game felt awesome. You just like open a portal to hell and torch everything. And then the total opposite was great. Like, you could throw lightning as a good mage. You could be the knight. You could be an archer and steal stuff. Like, oh my god. Like, there is, in that game, there is like legendary weapons for each kind of playstyle. I love the total like opposites. Like, oh yeah, you want the best sword in the game? Well, you get it by being a good guy at this point, and you go save someone, and you get like the Holy Excalibur sword. Like, oh, that's great. Okay, what's the best bow in the game? Oh, so the best bow, you have to go make friends with 5 people, take them into the woods to the Temple of the Dark One, and kill them. And then you get the evil god's bow. I'm like, Jesus, what a swing. Holy crap.
I mean, that's the hard way to get it. You could also just bring 3 wives at midnight.
Oh my god. Yeah. I mean, that game's morality was like you could have multiple wives and you can kill them, and oh my god.
Can you get the Holy Excalibur sword and then become ultimately evil and just wield the best?
Yeah.
Holy.
You
Fuck.
could you couldn't get like the sword until after the first decision, which I don't know how many people should I. Yeah, hold on.
It's so
Spoiler
old.
alert!
Game's like 20 years old.
Yeah, spoiler alert! I'm going to spoil the first major decision in the game. 3, 2, 1. All right, so you can't get the Holy Sword till after you choose to kill your sister or not. Which at that point, if you kill your sister, technically that sword is the best in the game, but you have to be evil to wield it.
Yes.
That's the trade-off.
Sword of Aeons.
Yeah. If you spare your sister and don't take that sword, you throw it into the void, then you can get the Holy Excalibur sword or whatever. So it's basically they didn't want to take that epic weapon from you, so you get a slightly worse sword. But if you're going mage or bow, then it doesn't really matter. But yeah, I loved like, okay, spoiler over. I loved how if you went the evil route through the game, like you slowly grew horns and red eyes. If you went good, you slowly grew like a halo and butterflies floated around. Just like you can kind of tell just looking at yourself where you were on the scale. God, I do remember though. Was it that one or the second one? Like gaining weight was totally fucked in that game. Like you just got fat. Like it was dumb. Unless you only ate fruit, you became fat.
You either became fat as shit or you became a brick shit house because you fucking kept upping your strength.
Yeah. I got an age too. You just got old so fast in that game.
The only way to not look like a fucking grandpa at the end was to donate a crap load of money to the Good Guy Church.
Yeah, it would take age off of you so you can get young. So if you were filthy rich, you could never die. What a message.
Nice.
But yeah.
I miss games being made like that though, where they're not worried about the PC implications or what they're supposedly saying with the mechanics. Like, no, they just put a fucking mechanic in the game for you to have an option. Like, stop reading into everything.
Well, then you look at the other end where you could literally marry the richest woman in Bowerstone and then go like take her to a basement to kill her because she like tried to kill her sister. I don't know. There's like a really dark quest line.
She was a real bitch though.
She was, yeah. It was crazy. Gosh, yeah, that quest line was so crazy. Anyway, all right, so that's number 4. Number 3 is a similar vein. It allowed for dark and good options. It had a crazy good story, and anyone who's a fan of the series knows what this game is and is so angry that Disney said it's no longer canon. Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, the OG one.
Ooh, yeah.
I
The
was
story
wondering if
of
this made your list.
Darth Revan, my favorite Sith Lord. Oh my god. So yeah, if you've never played it, it's a very old game. It's on Steam though. It's on GOG, so you should be able to get to work and play it. The graphics, of course, are not up to date. This game came out in the 90s?
A while ago.
Yeah, but
I think
we
late 90s, early 2000s.
We still
somewhere in
have
there.
the CD copy of this game on our
yeah,
shelf.
yeah, it doesn't
I do
work.
too.
Don't use it. Your computer will be like, does not function. But you could be anything from Han Solo to Darth Vader in this game. You could use your force powers. You could be like, fuck it, I'm going to use blasters the whole time. You could use physical swords. They call them like vibroblades. Or you could use lightsabers. You could be the good guy. You could be the bad guy. You could walk the gray line. Like you had a morality scale. You had a party of characters you could choose from, like Dragon Age style. Your party in combat was always 3, but you had more than that, so you could cycle through them. And they all had their own stories, their own story quest lines. The overarching story, of course, was pretty major, pretty fun. Yeah, man, I'm trying not to spoil it, but yeah, there's so many cool parts. This story takes place 10,000 years before Star Wars 4. So, like, there is no Darth Vader, there is no Luke Skywalker, there is none of that. There's not even Yoda yet. And, yeah, it's a super fun game that doesn't mess with any of the known lore, but you get to explore worlds. Like, you get to go to Tatooine, you get to go to Kashyyyk and meet the Wookiees. There's, of course, the best droid ever, HK-47. Stupid flesh bag. Oh, my God, I loved him.
Man. Talking about Star Wars games, not to jump track, but I can't wait for a Mandalorian game to come out.
Ooh, yeah.
That would be fucking cool.
They were working on one, weren't there? There was supposed to be like a Boba Fett game?
Yeah, a Boba Fett game a long time ago, before the Mandalorian show came out. Now that the show's come out, I could see them going back and doing a game and it being really fucking good.
Yeah. Yeah. Now I want that.
And they should make it a squad thing. They should let you have a squad. Make it like a couple of these newer games that came out, like Revenant or Outriders, where you could be a squad of 3. Make it up to a 3-player co-op story game.
Dibs on Baby Yoda and the ball.
That'd be
be
fucking
fun.
cool.
I'll be cool.
You just float around, steal stuff from guys.
I have spoken.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
But I say four players so the 4 of us can play.
Okay.
If you insist.
All right. Then number 2. This is a game I still play games like this. I love picking these up. Solo player, multiplayer. I just like zoning out to listening to music, whatever, while I play these. I wrote down 2 here, but there's a number like this. Endless Space / Civilization. Yeah.
Give me that $10, motherfucker, because I know his number 1.
Yeah, I
5 and 5 ones or a $10 bill.
We'll talk later.
I told them, like, it was weird when I went to go make this list. I knew what number 1 was immediately. I had to figure out 2 through 10. But anyway, so number 2, yeah, like 4X games like Civilization, controlling a nation, Endless Space, like you control a galactic empire, things like that. Yeah, I love just kind of that. I guess akin to my brother there. I love big management games, things like that.
Yeah, those are always fun.
Yeah, so you like... There's a little bit of a difference, I think, because it is technically a management game, but I think you're into grand strategy games.
Yeah.
Which is like ruling countries, managing space empires, stuff like that. And then there's that middle ground piece, which I think is where I've fell in love and you've kind of skipped over, which is the colony management or the city building kind of thing. That middle piece doesn't super interest you, which is, I think, where a lot of our division of preferred flavor of game kind of happens, at least in that couple realms of game type. And it's really interesting that you're into the minutia kind of games and then the grand strategy games, and then I've fallen in the middle there of the like team management and city management and colony management games. So it's a cool spread because we get to talk about all different kinds of games together.
Yeah, I mean, I like some of the smaller management ones, but like if I had to choose between City Skylines and Civ, I'm gonna go play Civ.
Yeah. God,
I feel like I sit somewhere in the middle of that too.
dude. Do you remember that Civ game we were playing with friends, John? Where it came down to like me versus another one or two other people, and you were still in the game and we were sharing space. I like didn't kill you, and you were in a smaller portion of some islands in the north of my continent, and you just started feeding me cash to fight the other people.
I remember 2 games. There was one where I willingly did that. Yeah, I was fueling your economy because, okay, we need some backstory on this. All right,
Okay.
audience and everyone here. For some odd reason, whenever we play Civ, we usually pick random. That way, we can play the game differently depending on what we're given. So, no matter how many times we pick random, Daniel is always Montezuma in the SX. I don't know why.
Yeah, boy.
He's always the aggro nation of I'm going to kill everyone. And I'm like 10 hexes away from him. I don't know why. Always happens.
I'm telling
I remember
you,
the
man.
first time this happened, I think, was it with you, TJ? Somebody was,
so.
I think you were Rome, and he was the Aztecs. And I was in a little peninsula, and when I went north to expand, there was my brother, the Aztecs. I'm like, well, I'm dead. Okay. And this was before we ever made a plan before. No. He was like, all right, I can just kill you, or you can pay me tribute. And I'm like, cool, thanks, bro. This is a great game. So I'm just sitting there like giving him money for his war against Rome as they're like clashing, and the rest of the players are out by now. And they're like, oh, at least you're still in the game, John. I'm like, yeah.
Look, that's how the real world works. That's how the real world works.
Now that other game, I think
you're basically Canada. It's all good.
Yeah. No, I think the game you were thinking, I was Venice, so I was the money bags. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I don't want him coming near me, so I'm going to back you in the war.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, and you had a navy. You had the navy covered, and I was sending land troops the other side of the planet, dude. That was a good game. We're bio-coded this way, though, John, because the same shit happened in StarCraft. You'd make the money, I'd do the combat. We're coded this way, I'm telling you.
Yeah, no, it's always amazing. You're struggling to make money, and then I look over at mine. I'm like, how? How I have so much? Okay.
Because I gotta make the giant death robots and XCOM squads, John.
Yeah, you just always have the massive military force. Like in a fight, I always lose, but in economy, I will kick your ass. I don't know why.
It's true.
So yeah, that's number 2. So just quick rundown. 10 was Overlord, game where you're the bad guy. 9 was One Finger Death Punch, guilty pleasure game where you just beat up sick guys. 8 was Super Smash Bros. Melee. 7 was Battlefield 1942. 6 was Assassin's Creed 1 through 3. Number 5 was a range of MMOs, primarily Final Fantasy 14. Number 4 was the OG Fable game. Number 3, the OG Knights of the Old Republic Star Wars game. And number 2, Civilization or other 4X games akin to that.
Before you say it, TJ, what do you think his number 1 is?
Yeah, TJ, I'll bet you $10 you can't guess it.
I was gonna say Borderlands 2, but that doesn't seem right.
Okay.
Boom.
Well, let's find out.
Boom. Boom.
Is it RimWorld?
Boom.
No.
Boom. Boom. Da da da. Da da da. Do you know the intro?
No.
Okay. It is the Elder Scrolls Skyrim, hands down my number 1 game. I've put too many hours into it. I've played it from start to finish too many times. Hands down my number 1 game, the Elder Scrolls Skyrim.
I forgot which way the bet went, so I thought it was one on Dan's list.
There's only one on my brother's list. We had the same.
Yep. So Dan won.
Yep.
Yeah, Skyrim's a great game.
It is. It is so good. You could play it so many ways, and like my brother has said a number of times, the mod scene is insane. Like there are new continents you can go download and play on, new dungeons, weapons, monsters. You can make your character a whole skew of things. The number of Dova bear mods, you could be a grizzly bear.
Fucking Sonic.
Yeah, Sonic. Yeah.
God.
Oh god, there are so many good and terrible mods in that game. But yeah, just I mean, it's funny. Like I think I said on my list perfectly. Number 10, I was the bad guy, and number 1, you are the legendary Slayer of Dragons, the hero of the realm, and it's just a great story, a great game, and you could do so much. Anywhere from putting a pot over somebody's head to pick their pockets, to wielding a giant axe and going toe-to-toe with the legendary first dragon as he tries to destroy the world. And it's just great. Like I have so many fond memories, even from launch. Like whenever we talk about video games, of course bugs come up. My favorite bug of all time was Xbox launch of Elder Scrolls Skyrim. The dragons flew backwards. Don't know why. But they were ass first, flying through the air. It was great. It was all over the internet.
That's hilarious.
But yeah, just memories like that. Like I love every part of it. People breaking their game by spawning in 1 million wheels of cheese. Everything to you could be a werewolf, you could be a vampire. You can learn the history of the game. You could get drunk with the god of debauchery. That's a side quest. Yeah, there's like so many great things because in that world, in that setting, there are like, here are the good gods and here are the evil gods, but they also have this like 10 or 12 gods who are basically like chaotic neutral, and they're great. They show up in a lot of the games and the stories, and you never know what they're going to do next. There is a god of debauchery. There is a goddess of dreams. Yeah, and you find like little tidbits of their lore and side quests to them. It's great. There's the god of madness is also the god of art. So just, let that settle in. I love one of like his side stories is a king, I don't know, like insulted art or something. So he banished it from his lands. The next week, the god Sheogorath showed up and like painted the city orange, purple, and red. And whenever people spoke, like their voice came out as instruments. Like, yeah, he just like drove everyone mad in the town. So the king's like, fine, we'll honor art, okay? Just stop. It's like just great stories like that everywhere hidden throughout the game. So it's a lot of fun. Yeah.
As much as I love Skyrim, Morrowind was my favorite.
Morrowind was good. So was Oblivion. They've all been great.
Yeah, Oblivion was great too. That's what I meant, Oblivion, not Morrowind.
I definitely feel like Skyrim encapsulates the difference between John and I in gaming. Is he loves those story-driven RPGs like that, because you like Outer Worlds a lot too. You've been really into that one.
Outer Worlds has been great.
And there's been a lot of other kind of RPG games like that you get into, and I've tried to get into, like Fallout 4, stuff like that. They do not stick with me. I can't get into them for whatever reason. And I think that's why I was so confident, Matt, in our bet of like, John and I both deeply love video games for a lot of different reasons, but we have very distinct tastes with some clear divisions.
Honestly, he said number 5 is just blanket MMOs, and then the next couple, the rest on the list are all story driven. And at that moment, I was like, I should just go over to Dan and like slip this money under his door. I've lost.
I mean, technically speaking, you could make the argument that MMO would include WoW and Final Fantasy. Oh, but it wasn't on my list. That's right. It's based on list.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah,
Saved yourself.
no. If you had said MMO and John had said MMO,
You'd be lawyering the shit out of it.
I would have. I don't think I'd even have to lawyer. If you both mentioned both, I would be like, you didn't even follow the rules, and I'm right, so
Yeah.
give me my money.
Yeah, but it would only be one entry on the list, so still.
I think the defining point, like between me and my brother having different stuff, is there was a game my brother bought because he had saved up to get a PS3, and he purchased Dragon Age Origins, and he started it. He played it twice, and then he never touched it. And I was also interested in the game, and I was like, "Hey, are you gonna go back to this?" Like, yeah, I'm gonna go back to it. I'm like, okay. A couple weeks later, hey, did you ever go back to that game? Is it any good? Like, no, I'm planning to go. Oh, okay. A couple weeks later, hey, he's like, just fine. Here, you take the console, you play the game. I'm like, okay, cool. I demolished that game in a week. Dragon Age is in my eyes, is a great game. For anyone wondering, yes, I chose Morrigan. Okay, everybody chooses Morrigan. Come on. And it was super interesting, super cool. I ended up playing the second one as well. And then I learned, like, oh yeah, no, they also made another one, a sci-fi one called Mass Effect. Like, guess I'm trying Mass Effect. And Daniel's over there like, hey, did you ever beat the first Dragon Age? Was it good? I was like, oh, dude, I did that like months ago. I don't know if, Daniel, you've ever gone back to beat that game.
For the record, yes. My buddy
He did
Dalton
on stream.
bought the whole Dragon Age pack for me on PC because I won't play shit unless it's on PC anymore. I've tried to get into console games, it just doesn't fucking work. Anyway, yes, for the record, I went back. I've fully beaten Dragon Age 2. Dragon Age 1, I got to basically the end. I had like 1, maybe 2 missions left, and it would not work. It kept crashing on me.
Oof.
So I basically beat the game.
You got Ori in the Blind
That's fair.
Forested.
Yeah, basically.
Um,
But it's such an old game. It's like, okay, it happens.
So, not to change subjects, I don't mean to, because we can get back to this if you guys want to talk more about it. But I find it very interesting that out of 40 games, between all of us that love games, only one game was a common, like, came on 3 out of 4 of our lists. Otherwise, they're all
Yeah, we
Yeah.
all had
Completely
pretty
different.
unique lists.
I mean,
Which is cool.
in most cases, I definitely had the thought of, oh yeah, I like that game, but it's not my top 10. Like Hades, fucking love Hades. Matt convinced me to finally lock that in.
Mhm.
Loved it. Need for Speed Underground 2, one of Matt's honorable mentions, and GTA 5,
Yeah.
both good games.
I think all 4 of us really have Pokemon on our list somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed was mentioned a couple times. I was really on the fence about including it or not. I was looking at it from a whole franchise perspective, and I kind of got disenchanted with some of the middle stuff. Valhalla has been an excellent return to form. It still needs some improvements, but it is definitely moving in the right direction. But that's why I left it off. And speaking of honorable mentions, unless you still had more, TJ.
Well, I was gonna say, do we want to save honorable mentions for a separate episode?
We could.
Like
we
more
have
of a
been
quick, like a quickie episode, like maybe like half an hour or so.
we have been going pretty long. Yeah, maybe one day where we're a bit tight on recording time, we could just throw that in there.
And John is welcome back, of course.
Awesome.
Talk about those because yeah, I have like 26 games written down as honorable mentions.
I know. While you guys are talking about your games, I started putting honorable mentions down. I'm
Yeah.
like, fuck. Oh, on my
And-
original write-out list, I had Beat Saber on there, and I'm really sad I forgot about it. But I stand by my top 10. I think it's a more honest list this time around. But Beat Saber's fucking dope. Go check it out. That's all I'll say.
So I would probably take Pokemon off my list. There's a game I absolutely loved. It's a scary game. Can't remember what it's called, and I have no way of like looking it up.
Well,
And,
describe
no,
it.
It would be in my top 10. This thing I can barely. I remember specifically. There's a part where you're like in an old school and then in the pool. I forget what even was
Fatal
scary.
Frame.
Huh?
Fatal Frame.
No. I forget what was even scary about it. Like you had to go around. I'm pretty sure it was like a puzzle game and stuff like that. It was for PlayStation, I believe.
Oh, was it that
I don't know.
that famous game, the something Rain?
Heavy Rain.
No.
I don't
Heavy-
think so.
Alan
I'm
Wake.
pretty sure it started with a C.
Crusticles.
Wow.
That does sound scary. No, but that would have been in my top 10 if I could just remember.
Crusticles, yeah, that's a good game.
All right, we want to wrap this one up.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to our top 10s. Thank you, John, for joining us
Yeah,
on
glad I
these 2
could.
episodes. Yeah, it's been the WAQ Show. Thanks for listening. I'm your host, TJ.
Matt.
I'm Dan.
And I'm John.